Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for holding this hearing, and thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. I spent a little time in the financial services industry myself, about 35 years, and I saw the evolution, especially around FINRA. When I started, FINRA used to be an agency that was really concerned with overseeing the educational arm, right? Our CE credits, making sure we're properly licensed, et cetera, et cetera. And it seems that FINRA has grown out of that a little bit. I'm not really sure how it got there. So, Mr. Icabelli, I was wondering if you could enlighten us a little bit on how FINRA has evolved from more a licensing and educational organization, which is what it originally was set out to do, into its current form of really an unaccountable regulatory agency. Can you explain how that happened?
Well, I mean, what it does now, it's regulating broker-dealers, and the SEC delegates what it does not want to do in relation to broker-dealers and oversight of the securities markets to FINRA and to other SROs. And I think that's the concern that you're trying to raise here, is that that delegation has not been authorized by Congress, and it's happened by virtue of the agency doing it on its own accord.
Yeah, and that is extremely concerning to me because it seems like we have one more layer of bureaucracy out there. But even more concerning with that is the lack of transparency, right? I'm curious to get your information or your opinion on what threats do you think FINRA poses to capital markets? Because they write the rules, they enforce the rules, and they really keep a lot of those proceeds from the plaintiffs.
You're touching on a very important topic right now, and I think it's been the subject of multiple lawsuits by individuals against FINRA. And I think it's something that this body should really take up, which is, what is FINRA? Is it a private institution that's member-driven, or is it a governmental entity? What powers does it have that it should be using? Should it be an enforcement agency? That is an open question that this body should answer. Should it be an adjudicatory agency for arbitration? I mean, these are functions that were set out in 3 different branches in our Constitution, and they've been rolled up into one entity that's not accountable to anybody but the SEC and hopefully this body.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I think I would encourage Congress to really take a look at the role of FINRA and get some definition of what their job and what their responsibilities truly are. Because I think the problem people have with FINRA is they don't know what they don't know. When you are the judge, the jury, and the executioner, people kind of get a little weary of that. So just curious, when FINRA comes in and assesses a fine to a firm, what happens to those fines? Do those fines get back to the plaintiff? What happens to those fines?
I believe that when FINRA assesses a broker-dealer with a fine, that the money goes into its general fund.
Into FINRA's general fund?
Yes, ma'am.
Any idea what that general fund is worth?
There were previous reports that FINRA has over $2 billion in its funds.
Wow, $2 billion? Do they use that for educational training, for helping firms do a better job? Maybe as Chairman Hill was talking about earlier, helping people get out of the state of uncertainty that they may be in. What do they use that $2 billion for?
Salaries.
Salaries to go back and collect more fines?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, just out of curiosity, what does the president of FINRA make? Do you know?
I'm not sure of the exact figure, but I understand.
Would you call me a liar if it was around $4 million?
That sounds about right.
Okay, just curious. Can you explain a little bit of the lack of accountability that FINRA has and how that results in higher fees, fewer investment choices, and lower returns? Because the biggest concern I have is with all the rules and regulations right now, it'd be really tough to start a new firm. So I'm curious if you could touch on that.
I think it's extremely difficult to start a new firm, and the compliance costs are overwhelming for small firms, and that's why a lot of them are going away. They're either being bought out, merging, or they just go out of business.
Yet FINRA is sitting on about $2 billion. With that, Madam Chair, I yield back.